a starting quarterback on that football team. 593-1870 is the number to call. We'll take your calls. Let me play you a little comment from Jim Mora at today's media briefing about Mo Hill. The question was presented to him, why the decline in production from Mo Hill? Was there something you could put a finger on? Could he see a reason why the last couple of years Mo has not been productive?
In all honesty, I cannot. It's a mystery to me. I wish I could. I wish I had an answer. I wish I could say, no, this is the reason why you haven't done well, so here's how we're going to correct it. Let's say this. All of our receivers did not play as well last year as they had in previous years, and part of that was we did not get good production out of our quarterback position last year, okay? So, it kind of affected them, and Mo was a part of this group. Mo's production did go down at the end of the previous year, as did our offensive production and receiver production. Other than, it was kind of, we were in a little slump there when we made the move at quarterback. Now, the other guys came back with John those last 3 games, but Mo still didn't. I don't know. Maybe Mo could tell you. Maybe he knows but won't tell you. I don't know. I wish I knew the answer. All I know is he hasn't been as good a player for us as he was earlier. I hope he comes back. I like Mo. I want him to be good.
Those are the comments of Jim Mora, but then he continues to talk about how critical this year is for Mo, or at least this year, this preseason training camp, because after all, you look at the situation in which Mo is coming in late. Part of that a holdout, part of that the chicken pox, and with new acquisitions at wide receiver, certainly it's got to be a critical situation for Mo, and here's his comments about that.
We have to decide who makes our final 47. I think it's very critical for Mo because, one, we've gone out and obtained some new guys that are doing good. The 2 Plan B guys that we acquired, I'm very happy with, Pat Newman and Quinn Early. And then we've got a rookie that we drafted that's not in camp, but prior to this training camp, I liked what he showed me. So, Mo's got more competition to make this team this year, so it's going to be important for his career to do well. I think Mo has the ability to compete with these guys and make a run at it, just like I think, these other guys have a chance to make a run at it too. So we'll see what happens.
His attitude?
And the attitude question here.
Mo's attitude has always been fine. Some guys, when they've been a major part of the team and then all of a sudden they're not, cause problems. Mo did not cause problems last year. He did not cause problems at the end of the year before. He comes out every day, practices, and does his thing. Go ahead.
And those are the comments of Jim Mora today following the morning practice. Again, it was a 2-practice day today. There will be 2 practices again tomorrow. There will be 1 practice on Wednesday with weight training in the afternoon, 2 light practices on Thursday, 1 light practice on Friday before flying into New Orleans. And I believe they're going to leave after dinner, so I think that they arrive 9:20 or 9:30 Friday night. We're going to go to our phone lines. And we're going to go to Yolanda first, and on WWL 870 AM. Glad to have your call.
Well, thank you. I was calling to see if you know anything about the new kicker they signed, Kirk Maggio. How is he doing?
Kirk is a fine-looking young man that is a little light. I think he weighs about 175 pounds. A little bit of a guy. Real nice guy. Kicked at UCLA. Is from the Baltimore area, went to high school there, and went to a kickers camp and got a scholarship to UCLA and played there, and played with Birmingham in the World League of American Football.
Yes, I watched him in the World League. My son played with him at UCLA. That's why I'm interested in him.
Well, he doesn't have the strength and distance, hang time, and so on that Tommy Barnhart has. He did not do well in his first few days in kicking. I think that can be attributed to being nervous, being around new players, new teammates. He had some bad snaps. In the kicking drills that were live with a good hard pass, or good rush, now I want to say pass rush, but punt rush, against Kansas City, he showed a lot of guts and a lot of determination. He got kicked around a lot, but he got the kicks away every time. and it showed that he could kick better under pressure than he did just kicking with no rush. Which is I'd like to see a kicker like that myself.
Well, yes, that was evident when he was at UCLA. He kicked with Alfredo Velasquez, and I can remember when we played USC, and he kicked a 53-yard field goal that bounced back on the field.
Oh,
and
boy.
The game ended in a tie, but he's very good under pressure, you're correct.
Well, I'd like to see him do well. He will kick in the preseason games. He'll be given an opportunity there, for sure.
Will this week's game be televised?
It will be on tape delay on Channel 4. I don't know of any live television. I sure don't.
Okay, well, thank you very much.
It might be televised back to Minnesota live if you have a satellite dish, but that would be the only thing a possibility. Okay, Landa, thank you for calling.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye. 593-1870 is the number to call, and Mark, you're on WWL.
Yeah, I wanted to know, did Frank Warren practice today, or did he just get...
He practiced in the morning and in the afternoon, both practices. I've got some tape on him, but I didn't bring it in here with me like a fool. I left it in my room in the other dorm.
You brought that. That's important.
Yeah, well, I will get it for you. If I can...
Thing of the night, the biggest guy, we hope he comes back and...
Yeah, well, I had it...
Well, we need him.
Yeah, he had a pretty good workout, although I talked to John Peace at dinner. I asked him, how did Frank look to him? And I know it's not fair to judge him on one day of two practices. He said Frank was picking up his assignments very well, which was encouraging. He played left side and right side today in the defensive schemes, and he has fresh legs. So remember, he's not sore and beaten up, and bruised, and some strains in there and so on that he'll get today, tomorrow, and the next day. He'll be a little sore coming up for the game against Minnesota, but by this time next week, late next week, I would say even, would be a better evaluation. He'll start getting those camp legs, as they call them, and that's when he'll start really improving, I think. You'll see a better improvement after game 2 of the preseason than you would at this point.
Okay, I'm going to ask you one more question, and I'm going to hang up. Have you seen any different defensive schemes now, or is it going to be the same nickel and everything that we used to do, or is it going to change?
All right. You change in personnel or change in scheme?
A change in not in scheme, yeah, like the defenses that they run. Would they run something different more? Or?
No, I think you're going to see a lot of the same thing. It's gotten to be pretty basic in the National Football League. How they employ those differences will be interesting to see. I mean, it's basic in the NFL to go to nickel D or dime, which would be 6 defensive backs. The nickel being the 5 defensive backs in passing in long yardage situations. And that's pretty commonplace now, but how you utilize those things, who you blitz, for example, a safety or inside linebacker or in the nickel, or that is the kind of thing that you want to confuse the offense with. But as far as using personnel groups, that's pretty basic in the National Football League. Every team uses the same personnel groups. Just like on third down and long, almost every team in the league now goes to at least 3 wide receivers, and in most teams will go to the 4. All right, Mark, thanks for the call. 593-1870, the number to call. We'll take a timeout here, and we'll hustle over and see if I can't get some help on getting that tape from my dorm room, which is about a block away, to here. How long is this break, Bernie? Could I make a sprint move? You think I could do it?
No.
No, he says no. Are you on the air with me when you said that?
Yes.
You are. Oh, give me a break. I'll tell you what. Can you take a 2-minute, 2-minute may not make it. How about a 3-minute break? I'm going to dash out of here, run a block, get the tape, and run back. All right? All right, 593-1870 is the number to call. I'll be out of breath, so please call. I'll be right back on WWL 870 AM.
Now get 14 pieces of that famous fresh-cooked chicken and 6 homemade buttermilk biscuits, all for just $9.99. Only Popeyes cooks up the good time taste of New Orleans. And this hot summer offer is only available for a limited time. So come on in for 14 easy pieces and 6 melt-in-your-mouth buttermilk biscuits. Now only $9.99 during Popeye's Big Easy Summer at participating Popeyes.
Love that chicken from Popeye, the one and only Cajun flavor. Love that chicken from Popeye. Now that's New Orleans, neighbor.
Tonight at 8, you can talk with the Kingfish. Hi, I'm David Tyree, and tonight at 8 on WWL's Crescent City Connection, John McConnell makes a triumphant return to New Orleans in his one-man show, The Kingfish. The critics and audiences in New York raved. Tonight, he and the director join us, so give us a call at 8 o'clock for The Kingfish on the Nighttime Talk of New Orleans. WWL's Crescent City Connection on WWL 870 AM News Talk Radio.
Hey, remember me? I'm that big, cushy couch that's sitting in front of your TV. Ever since you joined Premier Athletic Club, we haven't spent much time together. Sure, Premier offers free covered parking. Sure, it has nutrition and fitness counselors, plus everything you need to keep you looking and feeling great. But I miss our time together. Remember watching TV for hours straight, just the two of us? Now you always have something better to do. Today it's Premier's Wine Tasting Club. Tomorrow it's aerobics and a massage. And next week lunch at Premier's full menu restaurant. What's more, when you do sit down to take a rest, it's just not the same. You're so light, you barely make a dent in my cushions.
It's Premier's 4th anniversary. Join now and get 50% off club membership. That's right, half price if you join now. Call Premier today at 836-5100 for details.
Are you sure you won't join me for a few minutes of I Love Lucy?
If you're an employer or personnel manager responsible for recruiting, hiring, or firing, listen closely. Under U.S. immigration laws, it is illegal to discriminate against citizens or aliens who are authorized to work on the basis of their appearance, place of birth, or ability to speak English. Citizens and authorized aliens have the right to work. You can hire them. Learn the facts about immigration and employment discrimination. If you have a question, call the Office of the Special Counsel, 1-800-255-7688.
It's now 7:24 at WWL 870 AM News Talk Radio, and as you can hear, Larry Matson is breathed very well. Let's check in with
About him.
Yeah, let's check in with Walt Pierce and see what's occurring out past the airport.
Well, anyway, the situation, according to the St. Charles Sheriff's Office, as Larry catches his breath from that sprint, is this. The Sheriff's Office tells us that actually what occurred on the Airline Highway earlier today is that a portion of the eastbound lanes, not the westbound lanes, but the eastbound lanes of Airline Highway have collapsed in the area of construction of Interstate 310. And because of that, they have had to divert traffic, we understand now, onto the westbound lane, so it's one lane in each direction. And that is apparently what is causing the major tie-up on Airline Highway westbound toward Baton Rouge, and any tie-up that you might be stuck in right now eastbound. That's because it's one lane in each direction at Airline Highway at the Interstate 310 interchange, which is fairly newly constructed, and it's going to be that way for some time. In fact, St. Charles Parish Sheriff's Office tells us it has been that way for a while because of the construction, but apparently the collapse has made it perhaps a little worse, and it did catch them off guard today. So if you're stuck in traffic east or westbound on Airline Highway because of construction in the area of the Interstate 310, and also because of the fact that they have apparently had some sort of a partial collapse of the roadway, and we are told by the St. Charles Sheriff's Office that it is the eastbound portion of the roadway that is collapsed and contributing to this traffic situation. So that's the situation as it stands right now. If you're stuck in traffic on Airline Highway, that is the reason. Be patient. You'll be able to get through. We're being told they're not diverting traffic to River Road as we were told earlier. So we're being told that it is one lane in each direction, Airline Highway at Interstate 310. I'm Walt Pierce, WWL 870 AM.
If you want to talk sports, call 593-1870. You're hearing WWL Sports Talk with Larry Matson on WWL 870 AM.
And we welcome you back to a winded Larry Matson in La Crosse. I made it in 3 minutes, folks. They went to Walt Pierce I want you to know I did make it during the commercial break. But I'll go to Charlie first before we go to Frank Warren on tape. Charlie, thanks for calling WWL.
Hi, Larry. How are you?
Fine, thanks. A little winded, but I'm here.
Good. I have a question for you, and I'd like to comment on the Wesley Carroll situation. My question is, there were a couple of exhibition games this weekend, other than Hall of Fame and the American Bowl. I was wondering why that was the case, and if those teams are going to play 5 games or 4.
Sure, they'll play 5, just like the Saints did last year. Last year, the Saints went to London. You're given an extra week if you take one of those trips. If you're asked to play in Canton, the Saints have done that back when I was doing the play-by-play. I remember they played the Pittsburgh Steelers there, and the Saints had 5 preseason games that year as well.
This was Chicago and Miami Friday night. And,
right.
And the Raiders on the 49ers Saturday.
Right.
So it might be getting out of hand where a team gets more games than others, you know.
Well, at preseason, you've got a lot of people. It gives you an extra chance to look at some people, and it's pretty well spread around the league.
So there's no NFL policy on
No, the policy is that you have 4 preseason games. Then, if you're asked by the league to play a 5th, it would be either the Hall of Fame, the London, Berlin, or Tokyo game. That's called the American Bowl Series. So there's 4 games, and they try to rotate the teams around those 4 games. In fact, it's already been scheduled when the Saints would play the Hall of Fame game in Canton again, and I could probably look that up for you and let you know what year it would be, but they have a rotating basis for that game.
Okay. My comment on the Wesley Carroll situation is that I don't understand how a man can be so demanding when he doesn't even know if he's going to be good enough to make it in the NFL. And while I don't usually agree with the Saints' salary policy, I certainly do in this situation. And since the man has brought up sitting out the whole year, that if I was negotiating with him, that would just make me more adamant.
And that's very possible that that's what's happening with Jim Finks, but this is nothing new. Every team in the league has had rookies hold out. I remember Russell Gary holding out through the first 2 preseason games when he was a rookie. Archie Manning held out, if you'll remember, when he was a rookie in 1971. I wasn't here then, but I'm doing some flashback series right now, looking back at the history of the 25 years of the Saints, and he was a holdout. So sometimes that happens when a rookie's coming in. And Archie's going to be in town, I understand, maybe tomorrow. I'll try to get him on one of these shows. In fact, I know I will. And I'll ask him about being a rookie and holding out. That'd be a good question, you know.
Would you mention to him about Wesley, you know, saying he'd be willing to sit out the whole year? What did he think of that?
Well, it's happened here last year with a veteran, so it wouldn't be surprising to see a rookie do it, I guess. But, yeah, I think it's a little foolish, and I think you're absolutely correct.
Thanks, Larry.
Thanks for the call, Charlie.
Bye-bye.
All right, let's go to the interview I had with Frank Warren. Now, this interview was conducted as we were walking off the field after the first workout today this morning. Day back, your first day with contact and pads. How do you feel about that first practice?
I feel good at it. You know, I feel good about it, considering that I had a year off and I got through it. I felt good about it, you know.
Did you feel like you had a little rush there, a little thinking about what to do, or did it just come naturally for you?
Oh, yeah, it was some rush, and I had to do some thinking out there. I expect for it to get easier as time goes on, but I did feel rusty, and I had to do a little thinking out there, you know, so things could come back to me that I once knew that I did natural. I had to think about them today.
You played left and right today. Is that something that you anticipate doing during this camp, or will you be used inside at the nose, too?
Well, they hadn't discussed, you know, where they would be playing me until I got on the field this morning, and, you know, just wherever they told me to line up, that's where I went, and I just give my best wherever they put me.
You're a kind of guy that was born to rush the passer. If you can do what you did in '89, this team could be a very good football team in '91.
Yeah, I would like to come in and contribute, you know, and be at the level, play at the level that I left off, and I think we should be a legitimate contender. You know, I feel that way every year, and I don't see why not this year.
Mackey Shilstone work you pretty hard?
Yeah, he worked me real good, and it's kind of showing a little bit.
Well, good luck to you.
I thank you, Larry.
There's the comments of Frank Warren. We'll take a timeout here, and we have a special guest. Bill Baker has joined us. He'll take your phone calls right here at 593-1870 after this timeout on WWL 870 AM.
And now, a word from Schwegman and Fiberall.
I was worried that I might have to cancel the whole thing. My girlfriend and I had been planning a weekend in the country for a month, but lately I had been bothered by constipation. I was so uncomfortable that I knew if this feeling continued, the trip would be ruined for me. That's when one of the girls suggested that I take a natural fiber product, Fiberall Fiber for Regularity. She actually used to take original Metamucil until she found out that it's almost half sugar. Well, sugar does nothing to relieve constipation. It's the fiber that does all the work. Instead of sugar, Fiberall adds healthy bran. Fiberall is so gentle that I started taking it every day. And now I'm regular every day. Well, I've got a lot of things to pack for my trip, and my Fiberall is one of them.
Fiberall, available at Schwegman. If you're a young family, State Farm is there for you with a valuable free service. When you're just starting out, you've got babies and budgets and growing responsibilities to deal with. Ask a State Farm agent about a free family insurance checkup for your home, car, life, and health insurance. There's no better way for a young family to get it all together.
And like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. People are counting on you.
Grandma, you're making chocolate chip cookies.
Well, I promised, didn't I?
But what about your arthritis?
I found something that's good for my arthritis.
Introducing Arthricare, the only rub that's warming yet odor-free. Arthricare relieves minor arthritis pain for hours. Use only as directed.
I love you, Grandma.
I love you too, sweetheart.
And I love your chocolate chip cookies.
New warming, odor-free Arthricare, because people are counting on you.
The phone number to talk sports is 593-1870. You're hearing WWL Sports Talk on WWL 870 AM.
Welcome back to the show in lacrosse, everyone. Larry Matson with you. A note, John Tice will not play in the first two preseason games because he's had that rotator cuff off-season surgery. He's been working out in pads, doing most of the drills, but still they do not want him to test it just yet in regular type combat, the real game situation that you would have in a preseason game. So he'll be held out of those first two games. He will play in the last two before they make a determination of what to do with John, whether he will make this club or not, and if he does, he should be ready for the regular season with those two preseason games under his belt. Bill Baker is with us, a scout from the West Coast area, lives in Arizona, and you've got a number of players in camp that you're somewhat interested in. I'm sure you're interested in all the guys, but certainly there's guys that you kind of zero in on more than others. Maybe you can talk about some of those guys.
There are a few players that were able to get either through the draft or free agency from last year. It is always, I'm curious always to come to camp and find out how they're doing, how they fit in, and
if they've improved over last year or if they've improved since college days. Huh?
Right. There'll always be a somewhat of an improvement, but just to see if they do fit in. We have a pretty good team, I feel, and it's tough on anybody to try to make our team.
A guy that I like that, it's funny, you mention things, and a coach or a Bill Q. Herrick or yourself, a scout, will kind of look at you and say, you really like him, huh? And then I wonder, well, what have I done wrong? But Anthony Wallace is that kind of guy. I mentioned that to a couple of guys, and I really like the way he takes it straight ahead, north and south.
There's a no-nonsense style about him. That's what he did at Cal, and he played in a backfield there that both backs had over 1,000 yards. They were in a bowl game, which is quite an accomplishment. Bruce Snyder is the head coach there, who coached the Rams for a number of years, had Dickerson and those guys. He is a no-nonsense type runner.
He's not going to try to juke somebody out. He's just going to take it and blast it.
It may be helpful to have a little bit of a juke here and there, but today they were turning kickoffs, and it was right up the middle.
Yeah.
And he has good speed, so if he can break an arm tackle with that speed.
Now, Fred McAfee was our guest earlier tonight. He came in and visited with us. He said that he has run a 4.31. Although at the scouting combine he was disappointed. He said, I ran a slow 4.5, which 4.5 isn't bad if that's your slow time.
With that time at the Combine, Anthony Wallace is just a little bit faster, but I think Fred has the juke and jive a little bit with him.
And he made that move for the touchdown run against Kansas City where it looked like it might have been, you could take it inside or out, and he kind of went inside a step and then took it out and was able to run it for the score. The some of the guys that you're interested in, you're watching, and
okay, from the West, that we drafted 3 players from the Western states. First one was Frank Wainwright, a tight end from Northern Colorado,
who caught everything in camp the first couple of days. Has dropped some easy passes, but makes the difficult catch.
Well, it's an interesting prospect because he has adequate size, not the tallest of tight ends, but he's about 240 to 245. And interesting, he was a kickoff returner there at Northern Colorado, had about a 23-yard average. And he's a long snapper. He was recruited as a defensive back.
No kidding.
Right, so he has...
Then he grew up, huh?
Right, and he's a great kid. It'll be tough for him to crack the lineup here, but I thought at that time in the draft, decent pick.
This year, if you were looking, and it may happen, although it's doubtful right now, if there was a developmental squad, a taxi squad, a red shirt, whatever you want to call it, squad, this guy would be an ideal prospect or something like that, wouldn't he?
Right.
And Anthony Wallace, Fred McAfee might be too.
Right. And they did away with that. I wasn't aware that they did away with it until I got to camp. But players like Frank and, like you said, Anthony, they're perfect. But they'll surface. They'll have a chance to play pro ball. If it's with the Saints, fine. If it takes them a little bit of time to find a home, if it doesn't work out here, they will play. They're good enough to play someplace.
All right, how about another player? Any other player? Wainwright's one of those.
Wainwright, and then we talked about Anthony Wallace, who was drafted in the 9th round. And we came back in the 11th round, and we got Scott Ross.
Linebacker.
Inside linebacker from Southern Cal, who had been a 4-year starter at Southern Cal as a linebacker, which means he's played the finest football there is in college, and he's very, very productive. Now, whether that's another good position for our team, it would be nice to think that he could show that he can make this team. That's something that have a couple more weeks for him.
All right, we got Anthony on the line, and Anthony on with Bill Baker, Larry Matson here in La Crosse. Glad to have you along.
Hey, Larry, how you doing? I'm calling from Harvey.
Oh, great. Thanks for calling.
Yeah, look, Larry, I just got a little question to ask you about, this is the Saints' 25th anniversary. You know how teams like Dallas and Pittsburgh in the past did, wore like little patches on their shirts and the field and all. Do you know if the Saints are going to have any of that?
They've got a special logo that's on everything I've seen. It's on the media guide. It's on a shirt that they've given some media members here. I've seen that there's definitely a special logo. In fact, the season tickets this year are going to have a special look as well. They had a contest last year for kids to submit what they think would be good for a season ticket, and the best of those have been chosen for the 8 or actually 10 home games of the 2 preseason.
Oh, okay.
So the season ticket holders will get a special treat there. It might be a collector's item to save those 25-year tickets, you know. As far as the patch on the jersey, I really can't tell you. I've not seen the game jersey and haven't asked anybody.
I think they should put one on at least,
Do you know, Bill?
Anthony, I think it's a great idea. I have seen a golf shirt. And it was a limited edition of golf shirt. I didn't get one.
You didn't?
No. But
I did. You see,
we can trade.
Oh yeah, that's right.
A great-looking patch, though, Anthony.
Okay, I think they ought to put it on a jersey, though. Maybe the fans ought to pull Tom Benson or something, And
yeah, up on top of the shoulder or something, like you've seen the bowl games and things like that. Yeah.
I got one more question.
Sure.
Okay, I heard people saying like Minnesota was the critical game of the year, and then Kansas City. But I think opening day is against Seattle, because I don't find Seattle a very good team. That's the game.
I'm not impressed with most of the AFC teams to begin with, but they do throw the football, and that you're always dangerous when you can throw the football.
Right. And I hope it's not against Kansas City, because we got about 10 of us going up to Kansas City to see the game.
Oh, great.
Yeah, we're going to be up there. Okay, Larry, well, it's been nice talking to you.
Yeah, well, the Saints have done well over the years against the AFC, and you open up with the AFC, so hopefully you can get off to a good start. And we'll take a time out. Again, Bill Baker is our guest. He's the expert. He's a scout with the Saints staff, and we'll be back with him on WWL 870 AM.
A new TV talk show is coming to New Orleans. It's a new show with a fresh new attitude for the 90s, and it deals with issues that affect you. It's informative, not sensational. It's called Talk TV, and it's hosted by Scoot, a New Orleans tradition for over 20 years. You know him, but you've never seen him like this before. Talk TV may be controversial. It may be challenging. It will be informative.
Talk TV with Scoot, Thursday nights at 9 on Fox 38.
A lot of Meister Speedy customers have been to other printers first, like this marketing manager who needed a few thousand color brochures printed, and she'd gone to one of those big impersonal printers. But since she wasn't ordering a zillion brochures, they didn't try very hard to meet her deadline. Anyway, I said we'd be happy to help her. Now, by treating even the smallest order like a big deal, we realized Sir Speedy will never be a big impersonal printer, and we're kind of proud of that.
Looking for a printer who really cares? Look to Sir Speedy, the business printers.
It's Bill Watson Nissan's end of the month clearance, and for the next 3 days, we want to get you a car. If you've got $300, we'll match it. If you've got $500, we'll match it. If you've got $5,000, Bill Watson Nissan will match your down payment dollar for dollar. And Bill Watson Nissan will cut your payments in half for 1 full year. That's right. If your payments are $300 a month, we'll cut them to $150. That's Bill Watson Nissan, I-10 exit at Bullard next to Home Depot. Matching down payment taken in the form of discount off MSRP. Maximum match $5,000 worth of approved credit. Match varies on model selected. You're hearing WWL Sports Talk with Larry Matson on WWL 870 AM. If you've got a question or comment, call 593-1870.
And we have Don waiting on the line. Let's go right to him. You're on with Bill Baker right here in La Crosse. Don, thanks for calling WWL.
Larry, how you doing?
Good.
We're not going to make any of the insinuations that you're the toy cook of broadcasting this year, because obviously he's going to move to safety, so that'll be improvement for everybody.
Thanks.
Maybe remember me from last year.
Well, I'm glad you called.
Anyway, just a couple of quick questions. The media's been pretty good about giving the insight into the deal with our second-round draft choice, Wesley Carroll. Looks like it's going to be a while before he comes to camp. Has there been any movement, or has there been any type of any consideration as far as getting Massey? Is he looking like he's closer, or is it pretty much...
I have not heard anything on Massey or Perriman, and from my understanding, they've got the same agent. Bill, you kind of got an insight on at least knowing Finks and knowing Jim Miller, Bill Kuharic. Have they said anything that you can report?
Not anything that would break any
new ground or anything.
Right. I think they have done a great job up here of relaying news back down to New Orleans, Don. And what you get from this station is right up to the minute.
Good. Bill, let me ask you a question as long as you're there. There was something in the Times Picayune today. The agent, Ferraro, I believe his name is, for Wesley Carroll. There may be some bad blood, if you will, from the past with his dealings with Reggie Sutton, and Reggie Sutton get an outside agent to sign. Now, if I'm not mistaken, didn't Passporn go to an outside agent, or didn't he negotiate the contract himself to get signed last year?
That I really don't know. I do know this, and keep this in mind. I think this is a very critical note that I'm going to pass along to you. Ferraro also had another wide receiver, and he tried to negotiate a deal with the Atlanta Falcons and could not get the money that he wanted for Wesley Carroll, therefore told the Falcons that he would not allow, he did not want to be drafted by them, and they had like the 13th pick in the first round or something. They took the other wide receiver, and Carroll could have easily been gone when the Saints went to draft. Now you tell me if the agent has done Carroll right by turning down an offer early that would have made him a first-round pick. Instead, they take somebody else. Now Carroll drops to the second round. This is a story I've gotten from a very good, inside, reliable source that this took place.
Well,
and so now he becomes a second-round draft choice, and of course he's still looking for first-round money, basically.
Well, I think that when I read in the paper today, if it is correct, they were going to offer him the 15th highest salary for second-round draft choice, and where he was drafted, that seems quite fitting to me. The second question was about the tailback situation. There's been, with Reuben retiring, there's been a lot of question marks out there. Is Dalton 100%? We really won't know until he takes a couple of good shots in exhibition season. But this guy McAfee, he looks like he's got the quickness, and I've heard some of the other teammates comment about his outside moves. But I guess my question more revolves around the fact that we'd like to see Manoy and Hayward in the same backfield, but I guess Moore is pretty adamant about not seeing that at all. Is that correct?
Yeah, I asked that question about 10 days ago, and he jumped on that one pretty good and said there was no way that he would have Ironhead as a tailback or in the same backfield with Manoah. McAfee was our guest earlier tonight. If you listen to him, he's a bright young man, very confident, very quick. He's the kind of guy that could take a ball inside or out, and I guess his strength would be the ability to take it out and make the corner. What do you think, Bill?
I agree with that. And that's some of the reasons, Don, that you mentioned, not knowing quite what Dalton's health was going to be. He looks great, looks fine. With Ruben's retirement, it's good that we did draft 2 running backs.
And he can return kicks, which is a big plus.
They're both back there. The 2 young guys are both back there, and they got Finnerty back there and Bobby Morse. And Manoah's up front for the kickoff returns.
I got a question for both of y'all real quick, and I know that everyone's going to be biased on this, but if you had to start the regular season tomorrow, who would be your number 1 quarterback? And is there a possibility that Abear could be number 3 right now with the progress that Buck's made?
Good question. Good, solid question. I'm going to go ahead and give you my opinions before Bill gives you his, and he's more of an expert than I am. But bottom line, Jim Mora is going to go in with the guy that he thinks will win the football game and lead this team to a really great season, knowing that whoever is number 2 is also going to be a guy ready, and if a guy goes down, he's not going to have any worries about that number 2 guy getting in there because the competition has been very, very close. I just have a gut feeling that Bobby Abear will emerge as the number 1 guy through the training camp, through the process of the 4 preseason games. But I don't think any snap decision will be made. It'll be a long, arduous decision because the talent is very close. I don't think if we didn't know their names and didn't know who they were, had never seen them before, and you put different jerseys on them and different names, and put one Smith, one Brown, one Jones, whatever, and went out there and watched them, I don't think in a week's time you could really tell me which one was the better quarterback in the kind of practices that we watched.
You know, we were talking about that a little bit today, earlier out in practice. A year ago, at the quarterback position, there were a lot of questions about the position in general. It seems like this year, that general question is not there, but it's just individual questions now. Is Walsh improved by being here a full year? Is Bobby going to come back to form? Is Buck improved over
ready
the course
to
of the year?
Move up, yeah.
Is Forcade improved over the year? So the position, I think everybody agrees that whoever it is it's going to be 100% more stable than a year ago.
And let me say this, in trying to answer that question as objectively as possible, you look at a guy in the morning and he looks great, and then in the afternoon the other guy throws and he looks great, and then you see a guy have an off time, maybe 4 or 5 passes aren't very good, and then the other guy has 4 or 5 passes. It's a situation where your opinion can change from one practice to another. Is that fairly accurate?
Right. I don't have an opportunity to watch every throw of every quarterback. I kind of bounce around to different positions. But that's exactly what happens, and it can be said for every position.
And I think the preseason games will go, when you have the live rush, when you have to make that decision to read the defense and when to release the ball and when to get the heck out of there and when to take the sack, all those kinds of things that mature you as a quarterback, that's where it's going to really be a test. Will Bobby be able to perform with the real rush and the real game type situations? Will Steve be improved enough to be able to fire that fastball to the sideline, which he did not do last year, I felt, at all? And will Mike Buck be able to play before 60,000 fans screaming and yelling and playing? Because he looked very good in the scrimmages, but then you only had 5,000 or 6,000 fans there. And remember, he's never played before a big crowd. I mean, a really big crowd. Is that a factor? I don't know. Maybe we make too big a deal out of that.
Well, it's got to be a factor for a young player. I think what we saw out there Saturday was really good. But that's about the crowd that he's used to playing with.
Yeah, at Maine, you didn't have more than probably 15,000 for a big game.
They had a good team up there, and he had a good senior year.
So we'll take a time out here. Bill Baker is our guest. We'll be right back on WWL 870 AM.
Time for the Sports Doctor. Sports Doctor. Brought to you by New Nautilus, the thirst-quenching drink that's serious equipment for serious thirst. Hey, the doctor is in. You're on. What's happening?
Yeah, let's talk managers.
All right, manager.
Who was thrown out of the most games?
That was Leo Lippy Lamont, St. Louis skipper back in the 20s. You know, his language was so salty, he was ejected from something like 98 games in 1922. Hey, you're on.
Hey, speaking of salty,
Right.
what's the saltiest sports drink?
Oh, real toughie there, pal. Gatorade, of course. Let all sports drinks and salty taste for 20 years. And it's one of those records you pray never gets broken. You know what I mean?
So, what's the RX when you're thirsty, Doc?
Nautilus. New Nautilus. Tastes great. Took it to Gatorade Big Time and Taste Test. No salty taste. Just all the stuff you need to make you feel refreshed and to bring you back. And more minerals that get to work real fast, all with just 2 calories and almost a third less sodium. Hey, got a bolt. Till next time on Sports Doctor. Brought to you by New Nautilus. Serious equipment for serious thirst.
Saints fever is building, and WWL 870 AM and Popeye's famous fried chicken have something special for Saints fans. It's your chance to win one of 16 great Saints weekends. Stop in any participating Popeye
Starting Tuesday.
and pick up your free Saints bumper sticker. Send in the entry form and you're registered to win. When the Saints are in Kansas City, Atlanta, Los Angeles, or Philadelphia, you could follow the team and fly Delta Airlines, the official carrier of the Saints, with convenient service to all Saints away games. At Delta, we love to fly, and it shows. When the Saints are in the Dome, you can enjoy a night at the Hyatt Regency New Orleans, breakfast in the Courtyard Restaurant, and a gift certificate to the fabulous Chocoholic Bar in the top of the Dome. New Orleans' only revolving rooftop restaurant, offering a breathtaking view of the city and a fabulous new menu of regional and continental specialties. Listen to WWL each weekday morning beginning August 5th for your name. Go to Popeyes for your bumper sticker and listen to win from Popeyes and WWL 870 AM. If you want to talk sports, call 593-1870. You're hearing WWL Sports Talk with Larry Matson on WWL 870 AM.
Welcome back to the road studios of WWL here in La Crosse, Wisconsin. James, you're on with us. Thanks for calling. Glad to have you along tonight. Hello, James. He's gone. All right, James, we'll go back to Bill Baker, who is right here beside me. Bill, anybody in the few days you've been here, and by the way, folks, the Saints scouting staff will come in for about a week or so. Each guy has a chance to come in and kind of look at the guys he's recommended, kind of look at the guys he's cross-checked, kind of look at other guys as well, and then they take off and go around the country. In your limited time here, anybody that has caught your eye that you said, hey, he's much better than last year, or he looks better than when we saw him in college, or anything like that?
There are a few players like that. Overall, I feel our team is a good team. Maybe I'm very positive, but...
Well, your dad now is a scout with Kansas City.
Right.
And the two of you had to have gotten together when they were here over the weekend.
Oh, yeah.
Scrimmages. Any information passed between the two of you on players, anything like that?
Not necessarily individual players. There's plenty of conversation.
Personnel groups
over...
Like your line is tough, or your...
I think we're very similar teams. Maybe their skilled spots are a little bit more experienced. Their corners are certainly considered to be the best in the business as far as pressing, which allows your defense to do a few different things. But the new people that we have, I think Jones, the draft pick, is a real good pick. He's
aggressive,
big kid. He'll learn. But he fits right in with what we're trying to do.
And he wears number 27, folks. You will see him in the preseason.
And he's a corner safety type guy. I think Les Miller, our defensive line.
He's impressed me, and I've talked about him.
He was here. He was in our camp
4 years ago.
Yeah, 4 years ago down in Louisiana, and was not a part of our team, but went out to San Diego and played. But he's now picked up 4 years of experience.
He is showing the bull rush straight ahead, and he's also showing the ability to slip a block on the outside.
I mean, he's a big guy to have in the middle. And I think Quinn Early is a good addition to our receiving corps. And
he's got more speed than I thought that when he first came to, in the mini camp and so on. He's showing some speed here.
I think I had a chance to watch Quinn in college, and I liked what I saw. I don't think he quite achieved that with San Diego. Maybe this second chance, so to speak, will let him blossom. And I think Pat Newman he was an interesting guy. He's from Utah State. And from the spring, right before his senior year, he weighed in at 213.
Wow. He's plump.
I mean, he was a plump receiver, a freaky-looking guy, and not that fast. So it was really hard to get a true feel for what he's all about. Now he's 190.
And he catches the ball well, and he stays with it. We've seen him have the ball bounce off his hands. He's being hit, and the ball goes back up in the air, and he still makes the catch the second time around. So he really has great concentration.
Those two receivers have helped, and with Brent not being here and Wes Carroll not being signed, it helps that position.
593-1870, the number to call. We're running out of time. If you want to ask Bill a question, Bill Baker is our guest, a scout from the West Coast area living in Arizona. Coming up here to La Crosse now and seeing some of these guys, some of the free agents, anybody there that stands out, a guy like a Tim Manoa, a guy like a Brent Griffith, how do they look to you?
I think acquiring these people through the Plan B free agency has helped in the depth part of it. There is one area that I think I have a little bit of concern with, and that's the depth along the offensive line. And with Plan B and trying to get veteran-type free agents to fill that void, if there is one.
You've got some young free agents, and then you've got some veterans like a Brent Griffin, who is considered a veteran, but you've got Kime, I believe, Dodd is in there, and then Drabzak is a draft choice. So it's going to be a good battle to see. And Earl Leggett's son, Brad, is back, and Chris Fort's improved.
Yeah, Brad was an 8th-round pick of Denver a year ago. Didn't make their team, came with us, and he's with us, and I think he's going to really battle in there for that backup center spot.
And if he can long snap, he could very well make this football team.
He's improving on that.
Yeah. I appreciate your time, Bill. That's going to wrap it up.
Okay.
Thanks a lot. Bill Baker, our guest. We're glad to have you along with us. Tomorrow night, we'll follow 2 more practices. They will start tapering down after that, getting ready for the Minnesota Vikings. Glad to have you with us from La Crosse. I'm Larry Matson. You've been listening to a special edition of Sports Talk, the Saints in La Crosse, on WWL 870 AM. Now to David Tyree.